It's cruise day. We are just getting ready to check out of our hotel and head down to the Port of Miami. We are leaving from Terminal A on Explorer of the Seas, and I'm going to take you along to show you what it's like boarding here in Miami, and specifically on Royal Caribbean. This was our first time boarding a ship at the Miami port, so everything was new to us. I'll take you through the full process from getting to the port, going through security, boarding the ship, and our sail away party. Plus, I'll be sharing some tips and information we learned along the way. We kicked off our morning with some breakfast and coffee at a fantastic Italian bakery and cafe near our hotel, which we ate at a few times during our stay in Miami because it was so good. And then we said farewell to our lovely hotel and got into an Uber to take us to the port. We thought for sure it was going to be busy with heavy traffic because the previous few days we experienced lots of traffic in this area, and it was rush hour during a weekday. But surprisingly, it didn't take too long to get there. We did leave ourselves extra time just in case, because you really never know. We have arrived. It actually didn't take us as long as we thought it was going to get here because there was no traffic, which was great. So we just gave our bags to the porter, and now we are walking down to the check-in area, which is all the way at the other end from where the Ubers drop off. But I'm really excited that we're almost going to be boarding the ship, and I'll take you along for the rest of the check-in so that you know what to expect if you're coming here in the future. Yeah, I am. I'm running because I'm so excited to get on this ship, Alan. Once we got inside the terminal, there were escalators and stairs that you could take up to the second floor to go through the security area. The signage was very clear and easy to follow. And as you can see here, there were literally no lines in any of the areas. Once we went through to register at the embarkation area, we were directed through security screening. Basically, it was similar to airport security where all your belongings had to go through the scanners, but you didn't have to take off your shoes, which was nice. After security, there was a sign on the wall directing you where to go. Plus, there were washrooms here right after security and more up on the third level. We have made it through security and upstairs where the waiting room is. So there's a section if you're a key member, which we are not, sadly, and then the regular section, which is where we are now seated. There's still quite a bit of seating available, but it is filling up quickly.
I was pretty impressed with check-in overall. It was quick, it was straightforward, and it was simple and not busy for once.
Yeah, there was no line at all. We walked right up, checked in our boarding passes, our passports, and then went through security like nothing. It literally took us less than 5 to 7 minutes. It was so fast. We're almost on the ship. We just checked into our muster station, which was actually a little bit confusing because they directed us one way and we had to come all the way back around to loop around. But it's done now, and that means we can do our first main attraction.
Getting a drink.
Exactly. So we're gonna go find a drink and get away from the crowds that are still getting on the ship. Them getting all of the food and beverages and all of the luggage onto the ship. This is a really big thing to organize with so many people getting on and off the ship, but it's always fun to watch them get everything going because they're so organized. I just spotted our luggage with the flower band on it and green, so we know that our luggage is getting on the ship. I've never actually seen them load the luggage things before though. This is kind of cool. Let's go. And now that we've seen our luggage get on the ship, it's really time to celebrate.
And because I looked at the deck plans, I knew we weren't too far from the pub, so we stopped to get a drink and toast to our cruise adventures ahead.
So it is a little bit busy up here in the Windjammer right now. It seems like 1:14, so everyone's up here getting lunch before we depart. That's pretty typical for a boarding day, that the buffet's really busy. It wasn't as busy down on deck 5 where we were on like the Promenade, so I think we might head back down there or out onto the open deck because it is a little bit congested in here and we don't really like that. But the food so far has been really good. I will say, make sure you check your barbecue sauce versus gravy, because I accidentally put barbecue sauce on my entire meal instead of gravy. So just make sure you're reading the signs on the food, because that was an unpleasant surprise. But I still ate it. It was delicious. And we're gonna go see what we get up to next, but I think we're gonna head outside. We just finished lunch in the Windjammer and it was so busy in there, but if you just continue to the front of the ship, there's a nice quiet area where you can get some beautiful views overlooking the Miami port. You can see Miami Beach from here, and it's just nice to escape the crowds. The first day on a ship, usually the buffet is the most busiest place, and guest services, because people are going on to make sure that they've got their internet and all the things. And the internet line was huge when we got on here, but we like to find places where there aren't as many crowds of people, and just to get some nice last minute views of the port before we set sail. And if you're on the Explorer, head to deck 11 at the front of the ship, because there is a beautiful spot where you can get great views, and there aren't as many people. Actually, it's just Alan and I. If you are cruising out of Miami, I would recommend coming in at least a day or two in advance, because there is a lot to see and do in the area before you're getting on your cruise. Plus, I always recommend, if you're taking a cruise, to come at least one day before your cruise, so that you don't have to worry about any sort of travel issues, plane issues. You are here and you are ready to board your cruise. But back in the Miami downtown and Brickell area, there's quite a few different sights to see. And if you want to venture into Miami Beach, there's the downtown area, the shopping area, plus the beach is just beautiful, and there's lots of public parks where you can go for nice leisurely strolls and take in some ocean scenery. But I would definitely recommend coming to the area at least one day in advance. So check out the amazing views of Miami. Way over there in the distance is Miami Beach, and it is a really great area of Miami. We had a lot of fun there checking out all of the beach views, the downtown areas and everything. And if you want to do anything while you're in Miami downtown, this whole area here is like Biscayne Bay. We went on a boat tour there, and that was really awesome to see all of the rich and famous people who own homes in this area. We got to hear about some of the mansions and who owns them while we were going on our tour. And then back that way is downtown Miami, and we were in the Brickell area, but there's so much to see and do there as well. I'm currently looking out onto the, I guess, right side of the ship if you were looking forward, starboard side. And this is the loading side of the ship, so you can hear all of the forklifts and everything that's happening going on down there to get everything onto the ship. Passengers are still coming on board, and I think we're supposed to be loaded in the next hour or so, but it is quite a happening place on this side of the ship, which is very different than the other side, which is shaded for one, and also much quieter. It gives you great views of the bay. But behind me, you can actually see all of the port of Miami for cargo ships. All of the cargo ships unload on the other side of this area. And then on this side where we currently are is where the cruise ships load up and set sail. So it looks like there are lots of parking garages as well. So if you are driving to the Port of Miami, it looks like there are plenty of parking spaces available. I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but this is our first cruise out of the Port of Miami. And I'm pretty sure that when we were on our Biscayne Bay trip the other day, that they said this is the biggest cruise capital or cruise terminal of the world, because they have about 38 ships that call this terminal home. So that is really crazy. They have all of the different cruise companies here with their own terminals. It is just massive. This is absolutely the biggest cruise terminal we've ever been to, but it was so organized. Like, getting onto the ship was so seamless. We didn't have to wait in any lines except for when they actually called us after we checked in to get onto the ship, and even that wasn't a huge line at all. It was very well organized, so I really like it so far. I see how it could be maybe more chaotic perhaps on a weekend. We are boarding a ship on a Thursday, so maybe on a Saturday or Sunday it might be a little bit busier. Even the traffic to get here wasn't too bad. And now we're just waiting to set sail, enjoying some final views of Miami before we probably cruise back here in the middle of the night and don't actually see anything. So I'm trying to take it in as much as I can before we leave and just enjoy the beautiful scenery, because it is really pretty to look at the city from the ship. You can get some really amazing views. And now I'm gonna go find Alan. I think he's recording his own YouTube video around the corner here. We're on deck 11, and this gives you a great view off the front of the ship. So if you are looking for like a quieter sail away vibe, I would come to deck 11 at the front of the ship, because there aren't very many crowds here at all. There's just the occasional person walking through, and right behind us is the gym. So people are inside there working out and checking out the views as they sail away.
We made our way to the pool deck area and found 2 seats, one in the sun and one in the shade, so we could relax a bit before the sail away party. And as always, closer to our sail away time, passengers started gathering around the perimeter of the deck to get a good look over the railings or out the windows to watch the ship sail out of port. And there was dancing. We usually avoid the dancing, but spend our time up on a top deck to get a good view of the city we're sailing out of and enjoy a drink as we toast to our cruise. Sailing out of Miami was quite beautiful, especially as we went past the Miami Beach area, so it's definitely one of the nicer ports we've sailed out of over the years. Now let's head back inside and check out our cabin.
All right, so welcome to cabin A309, located on the 8th deck, fairly close to the elevators at the back of the ship. Actually, could be at the front of the ship. And now I'm going to give you a quick tour to show you what this type of cabin has to offer on the Explorer of the Seas.
If you want to see the full cabin tour and what we thought, be sure to stay tuned to my next video where I'll be sharing a full tour and overview. After we freshened up, we went back up to the top deck to see what activities there were, and this ship has mini golf, a FlowRider surf simulator if you're feeling adventurous, and there were also some water slides, a sports court, and a rock climbing wall. Then it was time for dinner in the main dining room, and to be honest, while the food was good, it was kind of underwhelming for the first night on board, but I'll do a full review of the food and what we thought about it in a future video. We took in some nightly entertainment around the ship, and then we called it a night, and that's how we spent our first day on board. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next video, which will be a full cabin tour coming up next week. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.